the dog.
This is Blake Bates.
He's out back. All the way out back.
Is he locked up somewhere?
He's in the backyard.
I need someone now, please.
And Alyssa Smith. Two parents who will soon realize the horrifying truth they ignored for far too long. When you keep an already aggressive dog around small children, disaster isn't a question of if, but when. And how did this tragedy still happen in a home that had been warned about the dog long before Royal's final day? Before we go further, a quick note. This story involves harm to a child, but nothing graphic will be shown. Still, your discretion is advised.
Please, please, please. Be careful. Right there. I need my phone.
At the very first second of the body cam, officers step into a moment of pure panic. Alyssa Smith is on the front porch, trembling, her hands covered as she begs for help, while medics rush to reach 6-month-old Royal. Behind her, Blake Bates appears stunned and unable to explain anything beyond.
Stay here with Blakey. I'm calling your dad right now. Hey? Can I come in, please?
Do you want the mom in here? I'm sorry.
I just want to. Do you have a car? I can take you out there.
Oh, yeah.
I can take you if you don't have a car.
Here, there.
You just drive the issue back. Okay. I'll take care of it.
The officers have no idea yet that this home has a history, a warning from a year earlier. In that chaos, one detail stands out immediately.
I know you are. This is the first time he's done it. Like, this is not, but he's got to go.
Well, obviously.
This is better make it.
Those words, emotional, unplanned, will later become a defining piece of the investigation, hinting that what happened today wasn't sudden. It was supposed to be preventable. Anyway, the footage inside the house is redacted, so that's why it's going to be really blurry right now. I hope it won't be the issue to understand this tragic case. And Blake hovers nearby, trying to explain bits and pieces through broken sentences.
Yeah, I was out back and I just heard the screaming. So I ran in, tried to stick my hands in his mouth and just, right on the head.
It doesn't matter what mommy has to do. Mommy will quit her job and everything. Okay? You just worry about you.
Yeah.
But come over here and get your stuff.
His words are scattered, but one thing is clear. Neither parent can give a full account of how things escalated so quickly inside the home.
Let me go get cleaned up and I'm gonna head to the hospital.
The dog's locked up?
Yeah, I was gonna put him in the garage just because I know we can't get out of that.
Is that where he's at now?
He was just in the fence in the backyard.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
The way both parents avoid eye contact tells investigators something else. This wasn't just a sudden act from a calm family pet. Something about this dog and this home had been boiling under the surface. In case you still not understand the full story beside the chaos yet, then this is April 28th, 2024 in Marion, Ohio. According to the parents' account, the family's pit bull mix, a dog named Kilo, reacted in that moment and caused the injuries that ultimately led to Royal's passing. But investigators quickly learn this wasn't an isolated event. Why I say that? Because as officers are trying to piece together what happened on that porch, little fragments of truth begin slipping out, the kind that investigators never ignore. The first clue comes right from the parents themselves. Remember when Alyssa tells her husband he's got to go and Blake answers, well, obviously. Yeah, that was the first clue. Now, people don't say something like that unless they've been worried about a problem long before today. Then comes the second clue, and this one hits even harder. Officers learn that a year earlier, the dog warden actually showed up at this same family's door because Kilo went after a child in the neighborhood. There was a video. There was a warning. And both Blake and Alyssa stood right there when they were told to keep that dog away from kids. But it doesn't stop there, obviously. This is the body cam video 1 year before the incident. In 2023, let's hear what they were told.
How many dogs do you have? Two? Okay. Do you have a brindle one? Is that what? Okay, brindle.
Yeah.
Okay. Are they registered through the county?
I haven't got mine registered here yet.
Mine's, I do, but we just moved and I don't know where the papers are.
Okay. Not like AKC. I'm talking about county dog tags.
Yeah, no. I
Okay.
haven't got any.
Where did you get yours registered?
She might. I keep forgetting. I might need to renew them.
Yeah, it's a yearly thing usually.
Yeah, then I need to.
Yeah.
Then I need to.
You can get a lifetime tag, but I tell people you're wasting your money.
Okay.
Because you can't guarantee your dog doesn't get cancer or something.
Right,
So because it's after January 31st and you didn't renew, it's $40 a dog.
Okay.
Unless you can prove if they've been fixed or not.
And then there's Blake's own words at the house. In the stress of that moment, before anyone had time to think about consequences, he said something investigators never forgot.
The couch, he's fine. I went to pick him up. It is not your fault.
He's on his knees crying, screaming out, "It's my fault." That's not the only thing, Judge.
Listen to me. Listen.
Piece by piece, you can see the picture forming. Warnings, video evidence, family concerns, a dog with a history, and two parents who missed every chance to protect their children.
First of all, we're so sorry for your loss. So I have mom and dad. Who else do I have in here?
Grandma.
Great grandma. Okay, great grandma. Okay, perfect. Okay, her dad. Grandpa and grandma's out there. Okay. So I've been told what's happened from the PD and the squad. It's obviously an accident, a horrific accident. What's going to happen at this point is we do have to send an autopsy. Yeah. And that's a legal thing because he's under a year old.
Right.
These aren't just details, they're the trail that leads investigators straight to the truth about what really happened inside that house. They had other dogs. There's some evidence that they may have mistreated these dogs in a way that would make them more violent. And if there's anything to take from this case, it's this: warnings matter. When it comes to your children, even small risks deserve big caution. Most people love their pets like family, and there's nothing wrong with that, but love can't replace responsibility. And responsibility means understanding that some animals, no matter how familiar they feel, simply shouldn't be around small kids without strict supervision. This case isn't about blame for the sake of blame. It's a reminder that every choice in a home with children matters. And this case finally reached the courtroom. All of the clues investigators collected came together. Alyssa Smith, the mother, was the first to hear her fate. Standing there, she told the court she had been in shock, that she didn't know how to process what happened, and that she tried to stay strong for her daughter.
Ms. Smith, you have an opportunity to make a statement here today. You're not required to, but if you wanted to, now would be the time.
All I'm going to say is, when everything happened, I was very, very in shock. I didn't know how to act. I didn't know how to go about it, and I still had to be okay for my daughter that witnessed it. Here recently, with everything going on, I have started grieving. I have cried every night. Me and my daughter have cried. I've made sure she's got counseling, but as soon as everything happened, I made sure she was okay first. When everything happened too, I couldn't grieve. I was the only one working. I had to make sure we didn't lose the house, the car, anything. So I couldn't sit there and be depressed and cry and everything while Blake was doing all that. I couldn't, because if both of us broke, we wouldn't have anything, and then I would lose custody of my daughter again. All I'm saying is I miss my boy every day. I cry every day. I miss him every day. And this is my first time ever being in trouble, and it's really, really took a toll on me. That's all.
All right.
But her own sister stepped up to the podium with something completely different to say.
Hello, my name is Aubrey Smith. I'm Royal's aunt. I know this may come as a surprise just knowing that I'm up here today, especially because I'm Elizabeth's sister. But I wanted to make sure someone was able to represent my sweet little boy and make sure that he gets the justice he deserves. On April 28th, 2024, my entire world was flipped upside down. I got a call from my dad, and he asked if I was sitting down and if I was alone. I was a little confused, and I told him yes, I was sitting and I'm not alone. He then broke the news to me that Royal had been attacked by Kilo, and that they were on the way to the hospital, but he was not sure how bad it was. I knew immediately I had to go over there to see my baby. I hung up with my dad, and then less than 5 minutes later, he called me back and told me that Royal did not make it. I completely lost it. We were to the hospital as fast as we could. I got dropped off by my sister Autumn and immediately ran through the doors and tried to find him. I was distraught and having trouble breathing because I was crying so hard, trying to find my little boy. When I heard the words "he didn't make it, sis" come out of my father's mouth, a piece of me broke and left. That day will forever be engraved in my brain, and I will never be able to recover from the pain and the hurt I felt that day. When I got to the hospital and I saw my sister just sitting there like nothing had happened, I was immediately angry. When I walked in that room and she was sitting on her phone like her son did not just pass away, I was still not 100% sure what had happened up to this point, but I knew that the baby that I looked at as my son had passed away from 100% avoidable incident. When Alyssa realized I was in the room and saw me crying, she started crying also. To me, it felt like she was only crying because she knew I was. When we were finally able to go back and see Royal to say our final goodbyes, it completely shattered me. I had to see my baby boy lying on a table with a tube down his throat, lifeless, when I previously, the day before, saw him perfectly happy and smiling at my softball games. Seeing him like that made me realize everything had become real, and it made me realize that the baby I looked at, like my son, was really actually gone. When we were in the hospital, Alyssa just kept talking about how she wanted to go get high instead of the fact that her son had just died. I've never been an addict or even tried any drugs, so I don't know how addicts' minds work. But I cannot wrap my head around the fact that she wanted to go get high more than she wanted to go see her son again. When we left the hospital, she was more worried about being on her phone than anything else. I still to this day do not understand how she was concerned with being on her phone the whole time while we were in the hospital and after we left, more than she was concerned about the fact that her son had passed away. When we went over to tell Heaven, my niece, Alyssa's daughter, that her brother had passed away, Alyssa's exact words were, "Bubby passed away. He's in a better place now. He doesn't have to be a vegetable." How can someone refer to their own son who had just passed away as a vegetable? I understand shock is a thing, but that is never a way an innocent baby should be referred to. Alyssa was posting about having another baby just 2 days after Royal passed away. How can someone have their child die and then post on Facebook 2 short days later about having another baby? Someone who is truly mourning the loss of their child does not post about having another baby. A child is not replaceable like that. A child is not an object that can just be replaced because one was lost. I have had multiple people approach me and tell me that they saw Alyssa driving around town and walking around in stores, laughing and appearing like nothing was wrong on multiple different occasions the week that he passed away. I understand that life cannot just stop and come to a standstill when things like this happen. That acting like this does not show that someone is even remotely mourning or concerned with the loss of their son. Seeing the way Alyssa acted after her son passed away absolutely disgusted me and made me see her in a new light. I do love my sister and I do have love for her, but not the way that she's went about life and the way that she has done things. Now, I am in no way saying that Alyssa or Blake did this on purpose or that they wanted it to happen, but they had more than enough warning signs and opportunities to get rid of Kilo and avoid the incident completely. They both knew that the dog was aggressive, or whatever you want to call him, and neither one of them took the responsibility of getting rid of him to protect the 2 innocent children that were in that home. Fortunately, Heaven did not get hurt in the situation, but Royal lost his life due to his own parents' negligence. Alyssa and Blake are both equally responsible in this situation. Alyssa lost her son that day, and I'm not saying that she's not completely mourning him, but I do think she is mourning him for the wrong reasons. She has everyone else fooled by what she posts on social media, but I have seen her actions in her true colors, and I know what she's truly doing. She has shown me time and time again that she's not reliable and that she does not truly care about the safety of her children, and this is sadly a huge example of that. If she truly cared about the safety of her children, she would have gotten rid of Kilo the moment she knew that he had any aggressive behavior. Again, I'm not saying it was done on purpose, but it was 100% avoidable. I've stayed in touch with Alyssa throughout all of this, but solely so I can keep in touch with Heaven and make sure that she is safe. Alyssa has put Heaven in unsafe situations before, and luckily they have worked out in her favor, and this incident is no different. But unfortunately, it did not work out in poor little Royal's favor. Alyssa has continued to put Heaven in unsafe situations and do things that she knows she's not supposed to be doing. I personally think Alyssa thinks she can get away with everything, including this. Alyssa is now living with a convicted felon that has multiple felonies for violent offenses and allows my niece to be around him with no care in the world. Alyssa has put my little girl through hell and back, and I strongly believe that she will continue to do so until she finally gets in trouble for her actions. Your Honor, I do not think 90 days is enough time in jail for Alyssa. She needs to understand the consequences of her actions. I have no doubt she loves heaven, but I also do not think she is the best person for heaven to be around right now. I do not want my niece to grow up and be like Alyssa. I have no doubt she loved Alyssa or loved heaven and royal, but she's a very selfish person and always puts herself before others and does not care about anyone else as long as she gets what she wants. I think heaven needs some time away from her mother and needs to see that there are consequences for your actions. Your Honor, I think Alyssa deserves the entire 3 years in prison. My little baby deserved justice for his life that was lost. Thank you.
Ma'am, I appreciate you coming in and sharing that insight. It's helpful for the court to have that information and background, so I appreciate your time here.
I couldn't say I believe the mother's sad by those facial expressions. I don't know. Do you believe her? After that, the judge listened, weighed the evidence, and handed down the maximum sentence allowed, 3 years in prison for child endangerment.
I think it's very true to say that this is 100% avoidable, and there's no way that this court is going to ignore the severity of this case and your failure to understand why we're here. When your own family, and I'm not just talking about your sister, everybody else here recognizes your failure to recognize this, your conduct and your failure to understand the importance of pet ownership and, more importantly, having a child and your duty to protect the child. And this court can come to no conclusion other than that a prison sentence is warranted in this case. If I could give you more than 3 years, you'd get more than 3 years at this point, especially after the information that was presented here today. Court will impose a prison sentence of 36 months. You are now what's subject to being sent to prison. Once you complete your prison sentence, you are subject to what is known as post-release controls in this case. Post-release controls is discretionary or optional. Is that correct, Mr. Weaver? It's discretion on this particular charge still, right?
Yes, Judge.
You agree with that, Mr.?
Then came Blake Bates, the father. His hearing was even heavier. Not only did the court review Royal's case, but they also watched footage from Blake's other charges: the escape from custody, the prior domestic incident, the no-contact violations. Piece by piece, the judge saw a pattern. Someone who had been warned, someone who understood the risks, and someone who still allowed danger to remain in his home.
They knew he should have done something with this dog before this happened. Because remember, the story to law enforcement was, we have no reason to believe this. Grandmother, she's over dramatic. There's absolutely no reason. He's warned by the dog warden, warned by the grandmother. Now that the horrible thing has happened, Judge, here's what he says.
Blake broke down while listening, and for a moment the room went quiet. But in the end, the court couldn't ignore the choices that led here. He pled guilty to involuntary manslaughter, child endangerment, strangulation, and the escape charge, and the judge ordered multiple sentences to run consecutively, adding up to several years behind bars.
Will be served consecutively for a total prison sentence of 62 months. In finding that consecutive sentences are necessary, the court finds that consecutive sentences are necessary to protect the public from future crime by this offender and to punish the offender. The court finds that consecutive sentences are not disproportionate to the seriousness of the offender's conduct and the danger this offender poses to the public. The court also finds that the defendant did commit the escape offense while the offender was not only awaiting trial on his strangulation case, was in custody and actually fled from a court proceeding. The court also finds that you do have a criminal history of criminal conduct that demonstrates that consecutive sentences are necessary to protect the public from future crime manslaughter charge. You are subject to a mandatory term of post-release controls of 1 to 3 years. That means upon the completion of that prison sentence, you will be subject to mandatory post-release controls, which means you will be supervised by the adult parole authority. If you violate the terms and conditions of your post-release controls, you can be returned to prison in increments of time.
And just like that, the final chapter of this case was written. A mother facing time, a father facing even more, and a little boy whose story became a reminder nationwide about the responsibility that comes with raising children and owning animals. At the end of the day, this case isn't just about charges or courtroom decisions, right? What's your thought on this? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Lee True Crime Documentary, where we continue exploring real cases with the goal of learning, understanding, and protecting the most vulnerable among us. I'll see you in the next episode. Stay safe, stay aware, and take care of each other.